Welcome back to Podcast for the Recently Released. I'm your host, Liz Stardust.
And I'm your co-host, Joe Matissa.
Today, we're going to be talking about some cool stuff. We're going to be talking about The Flight Attendant, new episodes of The Falcon and Winter Soldier and Invincible, and the new Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, and it's the finale for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And so that's pretty cool. We'll get to discuss that. I think we're on, episode 6 or 7 of Invincible right now? I believe that's what it's on.
I think it's on 6.
Yeah. I think because there was one episode behind Falcon and Winter Soldier, correct? As far as numbers, because they started around the same time.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that today. It's going to be a good time. I wanted to start out with The Flight Attendant. We just finished that up, and that was pretty cool. So let's get into that. You really wanted to watch this. You put this on and kind of got me into it. So let's have you do a little thing, or do you want me to read the summary they had here?
Yeah, read the summary, I would say.
Okay, so
first.
Basically what it says for this, obviously it's a lot more deep than that, just like all things you watch, but it says a reckless flight attendant with an alcoholism problem wakes up in the wrong hotel, in the wrong bed, with a dead guy, and no idea what happened. And unable to piece the night together, she begins to wonder if she could be the killer. And that is basically, when you watch the trailer, that's exactly what they try to portray to you. Like it's very open-ended like that. This is really cool. Very cool show. What did you think?
So I saw a lot of people who got sponsored by HBO talking about the show. They would be like, "Oh, get HBO Max and you could watch The Flight Attendant." And this was the show they were promoting a lot because it is their original content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if I loved it. So the premise is very comedic. It's a comedic murder mystery-esque kind of thing. You're trying to figure out who did this murder. And it's very much not the flight attendant, but at times you can kind of been oh, maybe it is her. A couple things were not boring, predictable, but you could kind of be I think it's this person, and I did that a couple times and I was able to figure out who's what. Or if this person was going to show up at this episode, I would kind of be able to tell that. But it didn't feel super, super predictable and boring. It was the dialogue I liked a lot. I think the best thing about the show is probably the dialogue. It makes sense. It's good. It's funny. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like it as well. And basically, what's it? Kelsey Cuoco?
I don't know, but there's
Cujo?
so many people in this
the
show.
dog?
There's the guy who plays Steve in Hill House. What's the other flight attendant's name?
Which other one? There's
Spy.
a few flight attendants, and
The Spy.
I don't remember his name
The lady.
offhand. The lady.
The lady. The Korean spy. Spoiler.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't remember her name.
You said
offhand.
his name, so I was saying
Oh.
I thought you were talking about the CIA dude. Well, it's all the spoilers right now. And then the one woman in the show was also in the Sabrina Netflix show. So there's a lot of Netflix or just general actors that we've seen in a lot of stuff that I was pretty stoked about. But you said the one girl's from Big Bang Theory too, correct?
Yeah, the one girl is from Big Bang Theory, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, but basically, it's a pretty gory show. There's a lot of murder stuff. She wakes up in bed with this guy, his throat slit, the whole deal. And it's interesting the way everything unfolds, because with her alcoholism and everything, she has a real issue with talking to herself, but it's a little extreme in this. Basically this guy's, it's almost like his subconscious is in her head, and she's talking to him constantly and replaying things and relearning things. And it almost seems like when you're watching it that she has to go back and do similar things to what she did the night before to kind of jog her memory. And then you also find out that maybe that's not the case. Obviously she has problems with loneliness and and alcoholism and all that stuff.
PTSD, stuff like that.
Okay, and so the one lady, Rosie Perez.
Okay, Rosie Perez.
Yeah,
that's
the spy. She plays, her character's name is Megan. The main character's name is Cassandra, but they also show that she goes by an alias, and a bunch of people, it seems go by a different alias. And I don't know if it's because they're flight attendants and they have to kind of have a different name or something in certain I don't know what that is.
I don't think it's that. I think they just come up with a fake name for crime reasons. They don't want to go under their actual name.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like anybody has that.
Yeah, but it's basically her getting, I guess, followed by the potential killer the whole time while she's trying to figure out what happened and clear her name, because obviously it's not going to take long before, you know, the police get involved and before she starts getting investigated and all that. So the FBI is kind of looking into her and following her around. And at the same time, she's retracing her steps. She's having a lot of issues. She's constantly drunk. I mean, drinking so much. It's out of control. But somehow she's still functional enough to do plenty of things. And she's not falling all over herself. Like, I mean, but they do show that she's been drinking since she was a toddler with her father. Like, since she was a wee lad. So that's pretty interesting. And I do remember, I mean, plenty of times people have seen in life, like, somebody who could pour a tall glass of, like, vodka with food. And, like, there's people out there like that. So I'm assuming this is how extreme it is after that long.
Well,
you
yeah,
know, when you're a child.
I think she said she was either like 8 or 10 when she started drinking in the show. Like, her dad would refer to her basically as like a drinking buddy.
Yeah. So it's very interesting. Obviously, as the story unfolds, her personal story unfolds as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives you a lot of insight on not only how she's going to figure out what happened, but also how she's going to figure, I guess, herself out, because she has plenty of problems to overcome, as well as the murder, right?
Yeah, I also don't know if there's another season. Did you look that up?
There's a slot for a second season, but they do not have anything currently listed for a second season. I'm assuming that means it got approved for a second season, but I do not really know offhand.
The way that it plays out, it kind of feels like it ties up most of the ends. I mean, there's room if they really wanted to dive into this more, but I don't think they have to. I think it could be just a limited series and it could be done.
Yeah, they do have a couple things that they really leave a little open-ended at the end, where it could right away segue into another season. But I feel like it'll be hard to pull the same weight as they did with the whole experience and the circumstance within this first season. Because obviously, if it goes to another season, she's not waking up in bed with a dead person anymore, and the whole drive of the show isn't going to be the same. But as it could also really lead off into more like, I don't know, her being almost like a private detective, or it could go a bunch of different directions. It could be her going into a major downfall into alcoholism, and then let's say, you know, these people that were going after her, there's a lot of big companies involved and stuff. You'll find out when you watch it. Maybe that there could be deeper stuff with that, and they can continue to go after this. Like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, you know, and what, like you said about the spy, I mean, that could be a whole nother story to continue in itself. There's a couple characters that could really, their story arc can push forward a bit, for sure. They could even take the focus off of her and go into another character.
It did. I just looked it up, and there's a article saying that HBO Max said the season will return. Like, there will be a season 2, but they didn't really like say anything about what's to come.
Great, that's good to hear, because I enjoyed it. I mean, if I had to give it a review based off the first season right now, I would give it a solid like 8. The things I had an issue with were mainly the way the dream sequences went, where she was kind of out of her element places, and then she would go into her head and be talking to somebody, but like in a location she had technically never been before, or, you know, and just the way that kind of played out sometimes was a little overboard. But I did like it in small increments, for sure.
So I would give it like a 7.5. My big issue was like she was like falling in love with him in her head, and she said it multiple times, where like she had created like, I guess, this more, because she only spends one night with him, right? Because they were calling him 3C, because she finds him on the plane. They have this like romantic day together, and then he dies. And so she doesn't really know anything about him other than like that day. Excuse me. She doesn't know anything about him except for like that day, and then just whatever sort of things she's thinking of or things she uncovers later about him in the show. So like, realistically, how could you be in love with this person? But she keeps seeing him in her head. And I think that's like the concept of her trying to solve his murder and consistently seeing him in her head is really interesting. And I like to know where that, like, I don't know how to say this. It's it doesn't evolve into something else. It doesn't evolve to her like losing her mind or having this like very dramatic thing. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I love that per se, but the thing that bothered me most is probably like her relationship with him.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think I would knock it down a half a point because I just obviously remembered the one thing I complained about a lot of the time was just like her being a little bit too ridiculously messy and drunk and dealing with this constant like having to run around. And I think she had a couple, like she basically had two guys, right, that she was talking to, or three, but all in kind of different circuits. It was weird how it went.
I mean, that sounds it reads pretty accurate to like what she was going through. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like annoying at times when you want to get through a story and it's like here's a very like alcoholic person doing a thing, but I feel like it was realistic. She's a flight attendant, she's traveling, and she's single, and she's young, so yeah, she's gonna have guys in different places. There's like a dude in Rome, one other flight attendant she sleeps with, Buckley, and then that dude that dies, and that's it. It's not more than the four. You only see her really like sleep with like two of them, so I don't think it's as much as you're saying it is. I do think she's a drunk mess and needs to get her shit together, and that's very apparent as soon as you watch the show. But I think it's done correctly, like it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good. It's a solid show. I don't know where they could go for a second season to really grab you, but I'll still check it out for sure, especially because I enjoyed this and I liked kind of the comedic aspects of it as well. You know, we didn't stress that too much in this, but I definitely think that that's also something that's pretty enjoyable in the story. Aside from like it's pretty gory, like there's some murders and people are legitimately getting hunted down kind of deal, so that's pretty awesome. She's got a couple characters like family members and friends that are pretty cool. Yeah, but that's I'd overall probably agree with you for the review for this show. Definitely check this one out. This one was HBO Max, you said?
Yeah, this was on HBO Max. It's original content from them, and I believe it came out the end of last year, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know, I thought it was really fun. We got through it fast. I think there was like 8 episodes or something. Like, it wasn't very long.
Yeah, it wasn't super long at all.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
it was definitely like I don't think it's the best show ever created. I would say to watch it. I think it's like a fun concept. I like that there was more of like lighthearted, like comedic bits to it, so I didn't feel like it was just this like very strict story. Is it totally believable as a girl who's literally just a flight attendant trying to do all these things? No, but you know, she has her lawyer best friend and her lawyer's wacky boyfriend and like all these like people that help make up the situation, which seems like slightly more realistic, I guess. But
yeah, they don't make it like she has these like situations where she gets away in a really unrealistic manner or does something super like, I don't know, just overly ridiculous. You know, you don't feel like people are like, I don't know, teleporting into the area or getting somewhere too fast or anything like that, because you understand they kind of have lapses in time. They tell you that days have passed and things like that. So it's pretty believable for a lot of the stuff. Some of it, yeah, is a little over the top and silly, but I guess that kind of adds to the comedic part too, because you're like, really, that's gonna happen? Like, go figure. But yeah, definitely cool. I mean, you didn't get to see the other movie, Mortal Kombat, so we'll save that. We'll switch over right now to let's go right to Falcon and Winter Soldier, because they just had their season finale for the first season there. And let's see what we got here. I got a whole little description.
If you have any interest in watching this and you've been like, I don't know, ignore the past few weeks of us talking about it or whatever, just binge watch it all at once. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it's short. The show is really short. Like, it's 6 episodes. The episodes are short. The only ones that are longer are the finale and the one before the finale. Definitely. But I'm going to read like a basic. I wrote, you know, basically the steps of what happened in this episode to give everybody a recap here. But, you know, we see it starts off from the last episode with the attack on the GRC. The Flag Smashers are trying to withhold them from making a vote, and Carly's trying to take a bunch of the council hostage or kill them if it fails, you know, because they're terrorists. And then Sharon Carter and Bucky go in, and Falcon comes in, and you see him in his new Wakandan Captain Falcon suit. But it's weird because the Wakandans did the wings and everything, but it's a regular suit, that doesn't have any properties like Iron Man's Wakandan tech or Black Panther's or anything like that. It's just, I believe, the wings, right? And then after that happens, Bitroff, that guy, he gets in a fight with Falcon. Sharon's sabotaging the Flag Smashers, who you did see she was involved with. And I'm guessing that's to kind of clear her name in this situation so she doesn't get exposed. Carly tries to burn the hostages, and Bucky catches up and tries to fight. U.S. Agent comes back to avenge Lamar and help, and he kind of redeems himself a little bit. They try to fight the Flag Smashers kind of together, save the hostages. Sharon ends up cornering Carly. You find out she's the power broker, and one thing leads to another. They get in a big fight. Falcon's there, and basically Carly ends up getting shot by Sharon and killed. Sharon gets shot as well, but she's living. U.S. Agent and Bucky, they catch a bunch of the Flag Smashers. Falcon swoops out with Carly after she had passed away and kind of goes out to the people and a lot of the senators that are out there and the police and everything, and kind of drops her off. And they go into this kind of big, long, cringy speech thing with the whole country watching on the news. They have Zemo's butler kills the remaining Flag Smashers. U.S. Agent, he gets his updated suit from Val at the end, with the U.S. Agent suit officially, and they give him the name U.S. Agent. They haven't been the whole time. They've been calling him Walker or Captain America. Bucky, obviously, he gets to clear his whole story arc, finish his book and all that stuff, talk to the old man. Isaiah gets a monument from Falcon at the museum. They have a little party with Sam's family and everything like that. Hoorah, everything's all good. And then at the end, Sharon gets pardoned as well. And that's a little bit shady, that whole situation. But overall, I mean, this episode was half action-packed and half boring because it was a lot of dialogue as well. I didn't mind the finale. I thought it was decent. What did you think?
At this point, I'm still I don't care about this show.
Yeah.
So it wasn't this big impactful thing. I saw the suit before we watched this episode, so it wasn't super surprising to me when I saw it. I like most of it. I don't really like a couple elements of it, but I think it looks good for him, and the wings look good, and the fight sequences that he does in this episode are the coolest of the entire season. I kind of wish we got more of that than just general dialogue, even though I think some of the dialogue was needed. Bucky, perfect. I don't know what else to say about that. I don't think he did anything very groundbreaking other than having this moral dilemma in this episode and talking to his old his neighbor friend and stuff like that. So for me, there were things I liked about this show, but I feel like it was kind of not a waste. It's important for this to happen for future movies and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I think that we could have done with more episodes. I think giving us this short of an episode list is stupid. They could have done 10 at least, and we wouldn't have had to have last week's episode, which felt like it was dragging on. It was all about him earning the shield essentially at that moment and realizing he could take the shield and be Captain America.
Yeah.
But I think it was. And I think the elements of that episode were great, but I think that knowing that today's episode, or I'm sorry, the most recent episode was the finale, it made it really hard for us to want to pay attention to what was going on and feel like it was slow. So I wish that the pacing was different, and I wish that maybe instead we got a couple extra episodes. Overall, I don't think it's bad. I much preferred WandaVision, and I'm looking more forward to Loki. I still am upset about Captain America just leaving in general because it doesn't feel like him. So it's hard for me to be rooting for these two, even though I love both these characters so much.
I'm a little bummed because I do like Falcon as a character.
I love them both,
and I'm a little bummed in the idea of his character being diminished slightly because he's also kind of being not necessarily like a hand-me-down with being Captain America, but he's taking up another character that has plenty of story arcs over the years. You know, Falcon's been Falcon in the comics since like 1969. So this is a big, you know, transition from that character, and I really hope that they can find a way to keep the Falcon aspect of the character alive. I know they might give it to his partner or whatever because they did that in the comics and things like that, but you know, obviously the Falcon aspects of Sam are the biggest and coolest things to me. Although anybody can give you an American flag suit and I will be psyched because the suit did look a lot better, obviously, than his Falcon suit. Hands down. The only complaint I have with that, the whole suit thing, is you going to tell me this dude is not a super soldier and he flies around way past his terminal velocity with these wings on, going through explosions without a helmet. One piece of debris would turn my dude into a vegetable. Honestly. And they don't even, nothing.
Maybe the neck piece is like part of a helmet and then the helmet is clear and we just can't see it.
Maybe they're like, yo, dude, you got a strong ass noggin, but that neck, we got to protect your neck. So like, we're going to give you something there, maybe for your eyes, but
okay,
your head's fine. Yeah, protect your neck, like that whole deal. Yeah, I did realize I kind of said that.
Yep.
I didn't mean it like that, but.
Well, that's what I heard.
One thing I got to say too, the action scenes were decent, pretty decent fights when they do, like you said, show a lot of the cool moves that Falcon does and stuff, the fighting and everything, really cool. The dialogue, like, it's only going to be interesting to people if they're into that kind of stuff. There's a lot of politics to it. There's a lot of thing. And if you're kind of going into it more to be brought out of any way to try to relate you to what's going on in your real life, like, that kind of is a little annoying with a lot of people, I'm sure. But it's not bad. There's obviously plenty that I don't like about it. But it's all baked into the cake with Marvel, and I did enjoy what I did enjoy from it for sure. And I did like a lot of the action scenes. I did like what he was doing with the shield and the wings and all that cool shit. And I didn't think they were going to be able to close off characters as much as they did, but they managed to do a decent amount of it. I mean, it was still lacking. Like you said, we need way more episodes. But like, it was crazy to think that there was so much more, I feel like, done for Walker's character and so much more redeeming qualities to his character and a bigger arc of, you know, a downfall and an uprising for the character than I feel like maybe Bucky had, or let's say Sharon or anything like that. But overall, it's fun. It's fun, and it's cool to see the new character in a new light with his new suit. And I'm wondering where that's going to go in the future. When you watch the credits, you know, spoiler, the whole deal. We've been spoiling everything. But they show that, what is it, the Captain America and the White Wolf thing at the end. So I'm guessing they're going to do another season, and that'll be hopefully longer. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. Right? But I don't know. I mean, let us know what you think about it, because this is obviously a big change, you know, for an entire character and also into the new phase. You know, we're two entire characters, Captain America and Falcon. This is a major thing, and obviously Bucky is still Bucky. He didn't really have any big change by the end or anything like that. They do kind of give you a lot of stuff when they talk about the raft, and they have Zemo there, and Zemo does pull off his goal of killing a lot of the Flag Smashers, and you know, they do kind of give you that hint that it might go into a Thunderbolts type series at some point, which could be cool. I don't know how you feel about that. I
don't care.
You don't care? No. I mean, it would be cool to see that, because it's more, especially with John Walker's character as U.S. Agent, Zemo, and let's say Thunderbolt Ross and stuff. It could be a lot of fun to see a more dark anti-hero type of story. They can make it a little more edgy and wild. But this finale, the whole season in general, I would wrap up with like I don't know, I would say like a solid 6.5. I wouldn't say this was a super great season. The action scenes I really liked, because obviously they put the money in, and they really made certain elements of certain characters really shine at moments, and that was great. Other than that, it's fairly passable to me. What would you give this whole season generally?
I don't know, like a 6.
A 6? All right, that's a half a point less than me. You're giving little lesser ratings than me today.
It's just like, I love both of these characters. I love like the emotion behind the stuff. I did get a kind of, like, I got a little teary eyed a couple times at the end of the finale because they were talking about him becoming Captain America and things that I thought were sweet. I liked like there's a lot of like cheesy banter that feels very Marvel throughout the series that I really like, but I just think I would have gone up a point or two if there was more episodes and I felt like it was a more cohesive thing. I don't think so. Like for example, the Flight Attendant, I felt like that ended on a series note, right? Like that was like a thing in itself, and that was it. I would have been okay with nothing else. I know that this is going to lead to other Marvel movies, kind of like how WandaVision did.
And
but,
you feel like it was off to a rocky start.
But it feels like it doesn't leave it right away that I can jump into a Marvel movie like I feel like I can with WandaVision. Like WandaVision, the way that ends with the thing, it makes me feel like, okay, damn, I'm going to get started. Except for, I guess, like the, what's his name? John Walker stuff. Yeah. I guess that's the only thing. And the lady that's Peggy's niece. That's about it. But I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely... I mean, I'm at least still glad I got to see Captain America basically with the flag just beating up terrorists, you know, and that was great. I enjoyed a lot of that aspect. I'll always like, that's always been the coolest thing about Captain America is he's, you know, more obviously like a bigger symbol. When you watch him in the movie, he fights in a war and stuff like that. Obviously, the other movies they get a little bit different, but it was really cool to see Captain America again in action. You know, with the new Captain America still, so that was fun. That part was fun. But overall, the season's is dry and lacking for sure. I would like to see better stuff in the second season. I hope they can do that, but I feel like this was a little bit of a rocky start for sure. But definitely check it out, especially if you want to see where they're going with the next phase. There's a lot of things that they kind of try to close off for you and lead into the next season. So definitely check it out. Let's go into Invincible now. You know, we're into episode, I believe it's 5 of Invincible or 6, something like that. But this is a pretty cool episode. And from what I was reading, it kind of jumps around from stuff from lots of different issues of the comic, from like some of the first issues to like way farther out, like 30 something issues in. So it's interesting to know that they're doing a lot of different changes to kind of seamlessly ride this show through, but it's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to give a little introduction to everything that goes down in this episode, because this is obviously a bit after, you know, Nolan gets exposed for basically killing the Guardians and stuff. So Debbie wakes up and Nolan isn't in bed. She tells him to leave. Mark gets back from his trip and tells Amber he's invincible, but he still gets dumped. The Guardians celebrate with some milk carton beer for Monster Girl's return. The Maulers are confronted by Robot. Then Debbie goes to Cecil, who's trying everything at this point to figure out what to do with Nolan. They throw everything from like the robot copies, you know, all kinds of stuff. But it goes over and Robot Man copies his brain into the Rex clone and then he kills his original self and then tries to arrest the Maulers. And then it goes back over to Nolan and he starts destroying everything Cecil throws at him to get to Mark. Mark, at that time, he's going to talk to Eve and ends up, you know, flying to an alarm and seeing his dad fighting the kaiju that they sent after him to kind of hold him off or whatever. And during that time, the Maulers resurrect the Immortal, and the Immortal goes to fight Nolan and dies in the process while the news is filming it. So everybody really gets to see a little bit of what Nolan is, and they kind of get the idea now that obviously he killed the Guardians. And so this is a pretty epic episode. There's a lot of stuff going on in this. There's a lot of stuff going on in each of these episodes for sure. What did you think of this episode?
I thought it was a great episode. There was a lot of action. I think the storyline has been so focused on Mark and Amber and him being a high school student that it was nice to actually see him like have some more serious dialogue. in the aspect of being a superhero, and the stuff with his dad was really cool. I liked everything with Adam Eve. The stuff with Robot was really interesting, and the concept of one of the Guardians being brought back was really good for the storyline plot. Same with Cecil and with Mark's mom. But I really like this episode. I think it's one of their best yet, for sure.
Yeah, and it was cool. Well, it was cool to see like that the Maulers obviously are really intelligent guys, and were trying a bunch of different stuff. They were able to clone Rex's character, transfer the brain over, the whole deal. You know, they were able to clone each other. Then on top of it, they're able to just make this tech on the fly, and they didn't get arrested, so there's going to be a lot more with their story. I don't know where that's going to go, but I really obviously want to see everybody freak out on Nolan too. Like, that was pretty crazy watching Nolan like annihilate people. Like, there was so much destruction by Nolan with the people in his house, the monsters, the everything. And so that was great for sure. I also think it's really weird. It was funny watching them all argue basically about Robot transferring his brain into Rex and then showing up as Kid Rex. And Rex is like, dude, what are you doing? Like, that was pretty hilarious. Like, that whole thing, they're freaking out. Like, I'd be beating the crap out of that kid version of me. Like, so mad. Wouldn't you? Like, wouldn't that freak you out?
Yeah, it was really funny. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And, but overall, like, Robot Man is definitely way, like, gnarly of a character. Watching him having to kill himself, that was pretty dark, and his, like, very, you know, it's like a, how old is he? I guess he's close to the same age as maybe Monster Girl. He's got to be like maybe 30 years old, because I think he says that I'm a 30-year-old in a boy's body.
Something like that.
Yeah. So that was pretty interesting to see that go down. It's very deep and still pretty dark, as well as action-packed with all these different characters doing different things. But it ends with after Nolan kills, you know, the Immortal, and it kind of snaps in Mark's head because Mark's fighting the kaiju, and he restrains the kaiju while Omni-Man instead just straight up kills, you know, the Immortal. And then he's like, we need to talk. And that kind of sets a big kind of cliffhanger for what the next episode could be, because now the news saw this, Mark saw this, everybody's got probably their own conceptions of what's happening, and I can't wait to see how that breaks out. Really good. Definitely watch this episode. It was awesome for sure. Let's jet on over now to our final thing, which is the review of Mortal Kombat, which was on HBO Max, and that's all me because I know you didn't see it. But this was pretty awesome. Just a good breath of fresh air to watch a Mortal Kombat film. This is really intense of a movie. Super, super gory. It looks like with the stuff they do, it's hard to imagine, you know, because going from the 90s, like PG-13 movies that they had or whatever, seeing like actual fatalities legitimately like done on screen and stuff was awesome if you're a Mortal Kombat fan. There's a lot of mixed opinions about this movie out there. Basically, I'm going to give you a rundown of this movie. It's an MMA fighter named Cole. He's marked with the combat scar, and he gets discovered and recruited to find fighters and fight for the Mortal Kombat tournament. At the same time, basically what's going on is Shang Tsung is kind of cheating because the prophecy has happened, and he's trying to find and kill whatever Earth Realm people that are marked he can, you know, and he's going against the Elder Gods to do this. And basically it goes to Cole, and it's Cole and, you know, Raiden's guys. They got to team up and stop him and all of his minions, and they got to train for this tournament. Cole and the others, they got to find like their inner, they call it Arcana, which gives them, I guess, their powers as humans to be able to defend themselves and survive the tournament and all that stuff. And Cole basically just needs to save his family and help save Earth kind of story. Let me tell you the intro to this movie, the first initial like 7 minutes that they released with the kind of origin story for Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Great stuff. Super intense, really out of control fighting. Really awesome kind of origin stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the Cole character. You know, that whole like, here's a generic guy who's I gotta say, like, not nearly as charismatic as a lot of these characters. Just kind of going through and following kind of through him into this whole world. I liked a lot better with the previous ones where it was following Liu Kang. But there's a lot of characters in this already. Not quite all the characters, obviously, you would like to see, but there's a good amount. Like, I'm going to read off them. It's, aside from Cole, there's Sonya, Kano, Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Jax, Raiden, Shang Tsung, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Melina, Nitara, Rico, Cabal, and Goro.
I like how there's all those names and then just Rico.
Or Raiko, maybe. I don't
It's
know if I
Raiko.
pronounced that right. It's Reiko, I
I
think.
think it's Rico, but yeah.
Raiko. But, yeah, Cabal, Goro. And it was cool to watch those characters be brought in. I mean, Goro is hard because Goro is all CG, so a lot of people were saying he's like some kind of weird mix of like the Hulk and Aladdin, or the genie from Aladdin. Like, he does look a little goofy at times, but they did a decent job. This is a really low budget film for it being Mortal Kombat. Definitely really great to see, like, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, you know, their fights, and then them obviously later on, because Sub-Zero at this point is basically a headhunter, and in the beginning of the story he's going around for Shang Tsung trying to kill these people. And then you do see basically Shang Tsung being like, forget it, we're going there and we're going to stop them, and the Elder Gods are too busy to basically stop us, kind of deal. Which I don't know how that would turn out when the tournament comes, if the Elder Gods will know about this or what, because you know, kind of the whole deal is they don't really do the tournament in this movie. This is kind of an origin story building up to the tournament, introducing you to the story and the kind of mythos behind that world. But very cool to see certain people develop their arcana and how they got their powers that you see in the game. And to see them use them is really cool. To see Jax get his arms and like whoop the crap out of somebody, or to see Liu Kang shoot a fireball and things like that. Kung Lao, obviously, with his spinning hat, like, you see him do one of his fatalities, and that is great. In just like, he does it in epic proportions, and they do a lot of that. Kano, the character Kano, is basically in their main squad. It's like Cole, Kano, Jax, Sonya, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Raiden, right? As I think it is just them. And man, like, it's pretty cool to see Kano in this. Like, he's over the top, he's super ridiculous, he just talks a bunch of shit this whole movie, and he is hilarious. He steals the whole show, in my opinion. But really fun, definitely worth checking out. I would like to see where it goes in the next movie. They do a great little cliffhanger where they he's off to go recruit more people, and they give you a great little, like, kind of snapshot preview, like movie poster type deal, to kind of give you an idea of who he's going after and where the next movie's going to start off. But definitely, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, check it out. It's a lot of fun. And it's super gory. The fight scenes are great. The fatalities are great. They make sure to do quite a few of them. And you do get to see plenty of familiar characters. They did put a decent sized cast in there. And although there's some I really wanted to see that weren't in this movie, they definitely made up for it, for sure. They didn't like fill it with a bunch of like useless kind of middle of the road characters. They for the most part stuck to it and gave you the good ones. I would give this movie like a 7.5. Obviously, like, there was flaws with the story. Like, the pacing was a little weird, and like the beginning was super intense. Felt almost like a different movie with the origin story for Sub-Zero and Scorpion. But man, was like the whole first section of the movie really good. But the pacing does seem to get a little weird at times, but it's fun. It's really fun. Definitely watch it. Enjoy it. Don't watch it with your kids, that's for sure, because it's crazy. But check it out. It's on HBO Max right now, and it's in theaters too. So definitely, I look forward to a sequel ASAP. Now let's clear it out for tonight. I'm gonna let you do our little closer. Oh, and by the way, we did another camera, so you can see the whole studio here, get an idea of what it looks like. We're going to start kind of zooming in on things so you can see a couple more shots and angles, but I wanted to kind of give you guys a look of what we got going on in here. It's pretty cool.
It's
But
still on the thing?
it's on the big wide camera right now.
Yeah, we're real professional.
Oh, okay. Well, point that out. Nobody could have seen that. But now you see our piece of foam fell. But I'll let you close this one out after you push that little piece back on.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Podcast for the Recently Released. If you'd like to check out more episodes, you can go to podcastfortherecentlyreleased.com for all the ways to listen to us. We are over on Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, like anything you can think of where podcasts are, that's where we are at. Direct links are on there, but it's also available directly through our website, which again is podcastfortherecentlyreleased.com. You can also find links to our web stores, our social media, and various accounts on there. Or you can also follow us at Pod for the Recently Released on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And make sure, the whole like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. But this show, the video version of this, airs Wednesdays, 10 a.m. on YouTube. Definitely check us out. You guys have a wonderful night. Let's make like a leper and peel out.
You say
Peace.
night all the time. Like, you don't know when people are watching this if we're watching this at 10 a.m.
Yeah, I do make that mistake a lot.
Yes.
Because
so thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to yet another episode of Podcast for the Recently Released. If you want to peep some of our older episodes, we've got a ton of them. Just check us out on podcastfortherecentlyreleased.com. We've got merch, older episodes, links for other ways to listen to us, and more. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Don't let your meatloaf. Stay safe out there, guys.